Hey, how's it going? So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about my very favorite person in the whole Bible, and this is King Solomon. So, King Solomon is the eighth son of David, who was the wisest, and he was nominated chief. He was nominated as king of Jerusalem and of all of the Jews. So he was renowned for his wisdom, and he was known as the wisest person who ever lived, unequaled in wisdom. So the story of Solomon goes that he was actually blessed by God through a dream that he had, and in this dream he had a conversation with God, and through this dream he actually was able to converse with God and to speak with him, and through this he was asked what he wanted, and he only asked for one thing, which is the ability to discern and the ability to be able to decide to govern righteously. So through this, God was very impressed with this selfless request that he made, because he didn't ask to be richer, he didn't ask for more money, he didn't ask for more women, because he had a lot of those. But what he asked for was something that was altruistic, something that helped him along the path in order to do what he already knew how to do. So this dream was so important. And there's actually a video about this, and I'll link to this video. It's called How Solomon Got Wise and the Meaning of Dreams. So in that I go into that a little bit. So this dream is so important because through this you have to realize that Solomon was chosen as the eighth son of David. He was not the one who was next to inherit the throne, but he was chosen by David because he already exhibited supreme wisdom. So the important thing to realize is that he already had wisdom, because David called him wise and everything, and he was chosen to be king. But then he already had wisdom. But when he met God, what he did was ask for something that he already had. So in essence, in this dream that he had, he asked God for nothing. So he asked God for nothing because he already had wisdom. So when he was asking God, what he was actually asking for was something that he already has. Like, all right, let me be better at what you've already given me. I didn't ask to be king. I didn't ask for all of this, but let me just be the best king because you've already given me this. So I'm not going to ask anything of my own, but then I want you to give me something that will make me a better person, make me a better king. And he's asking for discernment. He's asking for discretion. And these are aspects that he already has. So in essence, he's actually asking for nothing. So God is like, so you're going to see the creator of the universe, you're going to see the Alpha and the Omega, and you're not going to ask for like a faster car, you're not going to ask for like super alien technology so that you can make weapons. You're like, no, I'm not. And then God is like, wow, that's cool. So since you asked for nothing, I'll give you everything. I'll give you what you've asked for plus more. And through this, he displayed wisdom. He displayed that he's already wise, and he showed that wisdom was already present in him, because God gives to those who already have. Like, to those who have, more will be given. To those who have not, even what they have will be taken away. So this was given to him, and this was something that he already had. So Solomon is very, very key, and he's so interesting to me because he's such an enigmatic figure. A man who had so many wives, and he was able to unite kingdoms. He was able to do so many interesting things, and through all of these deeds and all of his actions, he was always displaying supreme wisdom. So Solomon is a very, very powerful person, because even Jesus refers to him in his ministry, like, not even these flowers were arrayed as Solomon. So he was someone who was very, very wise. The Queen of Sheba came from Ethiopia, came to see him just because she wanted to actually test his wisdom. Like, can someone really be this wise? So she actually came and she met him. And there are so many mysteries around him, so many myths as well, so many stories around Solomon, and so many things about him that are very interesting. So when we talk about Solomon, we're talking about the wisest person who ever lived, who has wisdom that is unequaled. So through this, we're talking about a person who also built the temple of God. So this temple of God was the most important building for the Jewish people, and this house of God was representing um what we are, because we're called the houses of God. Like, don't you know that you are the temple of God? So he actually built the temple of God. He actually built the temple of God, the house of God, where the Spirit of God was supposed to rest, and where the Ark of the Covenant is, and all of those things. So with Solomon, what we have is a person who is actually called the soul of man, Solomon. So this was representing his significance in the spiritual aspects that he's represented in, because he represents the soul of man, which is of different extremes, which is of different passions, which has different reasons. This is who Solomon is and what he embodied, what he signified. A person with so many passions. When you read the first pages of Ecclesiastes, when he's talking about all of the things that he's been through, all of the experiences that he's had, all of the things that he's tried, all of the drugs he's tried, like I think he went on a lot of trips, So all of these things he's talking about, and how he was doing this in order to find his own soul. So he's the soul of man. Solomon is very interesting because he was rich. He was so rich, and like filthy rich, like extremely rich. Like he was so rich that gold and silver didn't matter in his kingdom, because he was that wealthy. So his wealth was just abundant. So Solomon also represents what we call the soul of man, and Solomon is actually a solemn man. So when we have this idea of this king, we draw this somber nature from his quality and from his own confession, that through the knowledge of wisdom, he got to understand that the more knowledge he got, the more depressed he was, because he was able to see the matrix. He was able to see the fake stuff. He was able to like look deeply into all of the matters that concern people, all of the matters that concern life. So he was able to see those things clearly. And he says that through this knowledge, he was sobered by it. He was more somber. He was so solemn. He was so serious. He was so grim. But through this, he still had this power of wisdom, which is something that is like a light that shines. So he had this solemn nature because he is solemn man. Solomon, 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 solemn man. So he was such a solemn person, like very serious, and not so like he wouldn't he knows too much. So he was just like Morpheus in the Matrix, kind of, sort of, because Morpheus is very like solemn. He's very very focused, very dedicated, and he's a very heavy mass of a person. Like, you can feel his magnitude. So this is the solemn nature, the somber nature, the sober nature. And by somber, what somber actually means is that it is something that is a bit gloomy, okay, a bit dark. So his wisdom, sometimes, as I was referring to, there's so many myths about him, so many stories about him. Some of the stories are so dark, and some of the stories are just mystical, because there was this somberness actually means sub and umber, as an umbrella, and sub, under the umbrella. So when you're under the umbrella, you're in a dark place. It's a bit shady. Okay, so there's some dark nature to that, because somber actually means melancholic. So melancholic means somber. It means solemn. It means when you're thinking deeper, when you're in your thoughts. So this is melancholic, like that gorilla song, "Up on Melancholy Hill, there's a plastic tree." Yeah. So this is solemn. Okay. So when you're feeling that type of feeling, melancholic, it's like you're just solemn. And melancholic comes from from the word melanin. Okay, so you have to all right. So the Greeks actually had the idea that there are four fluids in the body that govern everything that is within the person, and the temperament, the attitude, the health, the state of mind, and all of these things. So these four fluids are black bile, yellow bile, blood, and phlegm. So this creates different types of characteristics. For example, phlegm is like the mucus stuff. So this phlegm makes you like flimsy. It makes you very, very phlegmatic. Okay, this is where it is. And you get phlegmatic, you're slow, you're sluggish. Okay, just like the actual phlegm. And then when you have the blood, a lot of blood, it means that you're red, sanguine. So it means that you're happy, joyful, like always heated up. And then when you have the yellow bile, it's choleric, which means very argumentative and very angry, choleric. And this is also the cause of cholera. Okay, so this is for health, wealth, and everything. And the last one, which is linked to somber, solemn, shady, melancholic, is the black bile. The black bile is the one that causes melancholy, and this one causes thought. This also causes perception, deep perception, so that you're able to perceive with your mind, to perceive with a deeper mind, to understand with your deeper mind. So this was the black bile, the black stuff, and according to the Bible, in 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 the most romantic book ever, which is Songs of Solomon. Like when I first heard about it, I was like, wow, I heard that this book is so sexual, right? So this is in the days when I was just like discovering some like dirty magazines and stuff. So then I actually went to read it, and then I'm like, wow, this is not sexual in any way. But then after reading it a couple of years, it is hyper sexual. That book is hypersexual. So in the Songs of Solomon, in the 5th chapter, you are told that Solomon has hair pretty much like mine, actually. He has locks that are black, and then his skin is black. So he was also black. So he was melanin, and he was melancholic, he was somber, he was sober. He was very, very solemn man, Solomon, soul of man. Solomon is a very powerful person. Solomon also means solo and mono. So solo means one, mono means one. So one, of which we have two. So these two is Adam and Eve, which is creation. Solomon is solo and mono. So solo is one, solo is SOLO or SOLE. Solo is SOLE, which is soul. The soul is where the bottom of your feet is called the sole of your feet. And from this sole of your feet, this is where your soul touches the soil. This is where you get into contact with this earth, which is fed by the solar, which is SOLAR, solar. And this soul, SOL, which is where we get Solomon, is where we get the sun, solar energy. So this is in the inverse of where we get mono. MONO is MOON, which is the moon. So Solomon is the sun and the moon. So Solomon means soul, which means solitary, which means console, which means one. So when you have one, soul, like solo, I'm going to do this solo, means that you're going to do it alone. And alone is all one. All one means that it's unequaled. When something is all one, something is alone, it means that you are the only one there. So his wisdom was unequaled. Solo means unequaled. So this is where we also get solid. Solomon was solid, which means he was whole, firm, complete, solemn, firm, holy. So he was a very, very holy man, and he was solo, he was mono. Okay, so he was also representing the sun and the moon. This is solo, mono. And Solomon is all of this because he had the knowledge of all of the elements in existence. So essentially, he has the knowledge of the male and the female. He has the knowledge of solo and mono. He has the knowledge of one and two. He has the knowledge of one and one, 11, Eve, Adam, Eve, everything. This is solo, mono. This is one and two. This is male and female. This is sun and moon and the planets. This is life on earth, governed by solo and mono. This is the essence of life, which is solar energy. This is the essence of life, which is water, which is governed by the moon. This is Solomon. Solomon, solo, mono. So solo means one. Mon, M-O-N, which also means man. African creation story will tell you that the first person is a man because God is the light and created the sun, the firstborn, and everyone is a reflection of the sun, or everyone is a reflection of God, which is the Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, which looks like the sun. So everyone is a reflection of the sun, and the moon is literally a reflection of the sun. M-O-N is M-A-N, and moon is Munu, and this is actually the essence of who we are, that we are a reflection of the sun. Solo, mono, so one sun, one man. Solo, one, mon, which is person, which is one man. Solo, mon. So this one man is unequaled, and there's something special about him that reverberates throughout all of the genealogies and through everything that he did. He's the one who created the temple of God. Or not created it, he built it. David actually drew the blueprints for that, and he's the one who just executed the building of it. But he is so powerful through understanding what he signifies, what he represents. He's the king. He is called the Solomon, which also means Salim, which is peace, and he's the king, and he's peace king. And Jesus comes as Prince of Peace. However, Jesus comes under the order of Melchizedek, right, who is the King of Peace. And Solomon is also the King of Peace. It's very important to grasp that Solomon is so powerful. Solomon is the King of Peace. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. And Jesus was asked over and over again, like, whose son are you? It's like, I'm the son of David. Solomon is the son of David too. So Solomon, one man, soul, man. So this person affects our souls. So Solomon, he has this knowledge, sun and the moon. So it's also important to realize that knowledge and wisdom and understanding was not enough for Solomon. But what is more important is the fact that is the word of God and obedience. So this is something that I just have to say, to just put it out there. But he is so powerful, and he's so key in everything, in understanding wisdom and all of these things that are in the word and in the scripture. Okay, because Solomon is so key, and the knowledge of Solomon is vast, it's unequaled. So he is Salim, and this is actually where we get console, to console someone, to comfort someone. So he was the solace, S-O-L-A-C-E. The solace came from Solomon, because in his time the whole place had peace, because he is actually peaceful man, Salim man, solemn man, solo man, solo mono, which is soul of man, Solomon. So he is so powerful, and he's my favorite person in the entire book, because I guess because he looks like me. I'm joking, but I guess it's because of his wisdom, his knowledge, his understanding, and all of his women. I'm not sure, like, it really does take wisdom to like have 1,000 girls. I can't imagine that. So there's so many aspects about him that just fascinate me, and he is the master solicitor. Solicitor. He was able to solicit. So to solicit from Solomon. So he was able to solicit these things from God, and in actual legends about him, those myths I was talking about. Apparently, he was able to solicit the energies, the jinns, they call them the genies, to do work for him, Aladdin. So he was able to summon these genies. These genies helped him to gain some genius. So he's he's a solicitor. So he solicited that. He solicited so many marriages. He solicited so many peace treaties. He was the ultimate lawyer, solicitor, Solomon. He's so interesting. So interesting. So I would encourage you to read like more about him, and I hope that I can make another installment of this great figure in the near future. And I really appreciate you watching this, and I hope that this was as enjoyable for you as it was for me. All right, so I'll see you soon.